Okay, this is going to be a kind of funny video. So I look in my inbox in Discord yesterday, and I see this. I'm currently in a Twitter war with porn star Jenna Jameson. So had to check that out. Let's go over to her Twitter. So here's Jenna Jameson, obviously a very famous porn star, and you can see she's gotten in it with the vegans. So, you know, here she is saying, "You people are insufferable," retweeting vegan gains, asking her for a debate, thanking the keto diet for, you know, putting her in the best shape of her life, retweeting or tweeting out screenshots of comments from vegans, you know, just going on. "I'm exhausted by the dull toothed sprout eaters. Good night." Okay, so how did this all begin? Let's do some investigative journalism. Okay, so she posts this, she tweets this the other day on the 18th. She says, "If you're a vegan and pro-choice, please slap yourself." So not clear exactly what she's thinking. Maybe she's thinking like, you know, if you're a vegan, then you think there's something wrong with taking a life. Well, if you're pro-choice, then you think it's okay to take a life. Something seems contradictory there. You know, presumably she's thinking something kind of like that. Obviously, it's possible to be vegan and pro-choice in a way that's not inconsistent or in a way that is inconsistent. It depends on sort of how those two views are held, like what they entail. So, for example, if you were both vegan and pro-choice because you believe both maximize utility, that would be like a consistent reason to hold both positions, right? But if your concern was something like just the taking of a life, yeah, you could maybe have a contradiction there, because you could end up saying like, well, it's okay to take a life and it's not okay to take a life. But I think it's pretty easy to come up with a consistent way to be vegan and pro-choice. So, you know, whatever. So, you know, people tweet in response to her. Someone says here, "If you're pro-life, please explain why you think this is acceptable." And there's just a bunch of chicks being ground to death. So Jenna says, "I eat kosher, so animals are treated better. But bottom line is humans are more valuable." So whether animals are treated better in kosher is questionable. I'd love to know what exactly the argument is for that. But I also really don't care. So maybe I wouldn't even love to know, because bottom line, to use your language, those animals are still getting a knife to the throat. And I think that a knife to the throat so we can taste some hamburgers is pretty morally reprehensible. So she says, bottom line, humans are more valuable. I'd like to know why she thinks that, and also why she thinks higher value would entail that it's okay to slaughter some kind of being. Like say that there's a being that is more valuable than humans for whatever reason, right? Like maybe if what you care about is well-being, then you know, this being can experience more of it, just a more valuable being than humans. Does the fact that that being is more valuable mean that it's fine to just murder humans? It seems to me that if we say a being is more valuable than another, we know that all else held constant, if we're looking at situations like, hey, you have to kill either this being or you have to kill the other being, you're going to prefer to kill the being that's less valuable. I think that follows pretty straightforwardly from saying that there's a difference in value between two beings. But it doesn't seem at all clear to me that saying there's a difference in value between two beings leads to it being okay to just murder one of them when you're not in some kind of situation where you're forced to choose one or the other. Okay, so someone responds, you know, treated so much better, posts some slaughter footage at her. I'd assume that's like footage of a kosher slaughterhouse. She says, triggered AF. I don't know if she's saying that she's triggered by having her, you know, views about kosher slaughter or animal slaughter or whatever challenged by the footage, or I think this is probably more likely that she's just saying the vegan is triggered because they're posting the footage at her. So this person, Retro, replies by saying, "You would be if you weren't too much of a coward to see how your victims were actually killed." She says, "I've actually watched Earthlings, and yes, it's quite brutal. The point of my post was that vegans that promote abortion are hypocrites. Killing a baby is the greatest sin." Okay, so she's watched Earthlings, and it's quite brutal. Now, if you agree it's brutal, why would you support it, right? Do you think that it's fine to support brutality towards animals? I would hope not. She says, "The point of my post was that vegans that promote abortions are hypocrites. Now, it does seem like that's the point of what she was trying to say there, so, fair enough. But it's not clear that that's actually true, right? Say that you believe that the pro-choice and vegan position both maximize utility. It doesn't mean that then it's going to be consistent to hold both of those positions if your concern is utility, right? So that's going to be not a hypocritical position. And even if you try to argue, pro-choice doesn't maximize utility, I think that hypocrisy requires that the person be going against their beliefs. As long as they hold a belief that both maximize utility, it's not clear why it would be inconsistent to hold both positions. So, I think your initial point is going to require actually more kind of argumentation, because I don't think it's clear that that's the case. And then she says, killing a baby is the greatest sin. What about raping and killing a baby? Or raping a baby while killing it? So are you pro-life? I don't know why he's capitalized pro-life. That's not a proper noun. Jenna Jameson says, I'm anti-killing human babies. Okay, which, if I understand when people hold a position and they want to they want to characterize it in a certain way, so it's clear like why they hold it. Like maybe she wants to emphasize the being anti-killing human babies instead of just saying pro-life. Maybe it makes her position more clear. Same kind of reasoning that vegans might say, like, it's an animal holocaust, which it is. Now, anti-killing human babies, I can't say that I'm anti-killing human babies. If a human baby is, for example, not sentient, hasn't been sentient, isn't going to be sentient, I don't see what would be wrong with killing that baby. So it's not just that there's some deontological problem with killing babies, at least not on my view. If you think there is, there's going to be some kind of weird conclusions to that. Like, for example, let's say that, presumably it's equally wrong to kill a baby or a full-grown, like, adult or a child or something. I don't think she'd say killing one is worse than killing the other. Well, if you're just concerned with babies, like, what about if the baby were non-sentient or something, or is like hasn't developed to that point yet? You'd end up having to say that that being has like an equal right to life to a being that is developed and is having like a way more profound conscious experience. So that position could lead somewhere weird. So yeah, I mean, I'm anti-killing sentient human babies when there's no like strong reason to or something like this. I don't just say go kill a baby. But yeah, before they're sentient, I don't view that as a moral concern. And even once the baby is sentient, I think there's circumstances where the well-being of the woman can outweigh the value that the baby has. Like if the baby's a threat to the woman's life, I think that it's completely fine to abort, just to take an obvious case. But now I'm getting sucked into the whole abortion thing. So let's get back to the veganism stuff. So Retro says, what's the difference between human babies and non-human babies? Why does being human grant us more of a right to life than an animal? Now this is where we get into the really like cringy carnist logic. So she replies here by saying, because as far back as humans go, we ate animals to survive. Animals eat animals to survive. It's in our DNA. Murdering our young is not. #pro-life. So obviously lots of problems here. So like this reasoning, because as far back as humans go, we ate animals to survive. Like the fact that we've done something for a long time is not a good reason to do it. I mean, we've murdered and raped for a long time, right? Does that make those good actions? Animals eat animals to survive. The fact that animals do something doesn't seem like a good reason to do it either. Animals do tons of friggin' crazy shit. It's in our DNA. Who cares? If like, let's just, whether that's even true is questionable, but let's just say that there's something that we have some like biological drive to do. Would that make it good? What if we had a biological drive to like eat our babies, right? That wouldn't make it a good thing. Now she gets in it with Cog, who's one of the vegans from my Discord. So he replies to her. Let's see if we can find the original reply. Here we go. So he says, as far back as humans go, we've done horrible things to survive, including rape, pillage. So he's saying what I just said, right? And kill the children of neighboring areas. I don't think this is a good reason to continue doing this. I'm more than happy to live debate you on this. The debate challenge has been offered, Jenna. So she says, so shall we stop all animals from preying in, presumably she means on, other animals because it's cruel? Well, it's not clear why she thinks that's entailed by what Cog said. He's just saying, the fact that we've done something for a long time doesn't seem like a good reason to do it. Why would that lead to, we should stop animals from preying on each other? Now, he responds by saying, by the way, if we could stop it and we could provide carnivorous animals with adequate sustenance, then I think we should stop animals being preyed on, obviously weighing up what else that's going to cost us. So all he's saying there is just, wild animal suffering is a moral concern, and if there were actually a practical way to do something about it, then we should do that, which I agree with, right? Now, carnivores, omnivores, whatever, carnists, they love to strawman this kind of position when you say that wild animal suffering is a moral concern, and say like, oh, you want to go like feed tofu packets to like lions or something? It's like, no. I mean, the point is just, if there were a practical way to remove suffering from nature, we'd want to do it. Why would we, like, just say you had the philosophy wand and you can just wave it and then that suffering goes away, but everything else keeps functioning just fine? Wouldn't you want to remove all the horrible agony that animals go through, being eaten by other animals, being getting like parasite infestations and stuff? Like, I'm just concerned with their conscious experience. That seems like a bad thing for them to have in their experience. I don't want them to have that. Of course, if I could do something about that, I would. So he's got some, Jenna Jameson fans jumping on him here. Now she replies again down below. She says, your answer is we need to feed all of the carnivorous animals? I'm purposely not retweeting this to spare you the ratio. I don't think there's downvotes here, so I don't know what ratio she means. But, he hasn't said that we actually have an obligation to go feed the carnivorous animals. He's just making a point that, if we had some kind of practical way to deal with wild animal suffering, we should do it, right? So he says, strawmanning my responses already, which of course she's strawmanning him. That's not what he said. And then someone else, comes in with more garbage. Let's feed the carnivores free-range, gluten-free, politically correct tofu, he says. Nice straw man. So now let's go back to Jenna's page, because she's got, just a bit more going on here with vegans. So, she retweets Cog on her page once or twice. I thought she said she didn't want to do that, but whatever. You can't make this shit up. She's just retweeting things he said. Bruh, you argued the need to make all animals vegan in order to follow your new world vegan agenda. It's mind-blowingly foolish. The need to make all animals vegan seems like just a tiny bit of a straw man. Like, when you paint it like that, it seems like he's saying that we need to go, like, feed, like, fucking grizzly bears seitan or something. Like, it's not what he's saying at all. He's just saying wild animal suffering is a moral concern. If we can do something about it, we should. He's not even saying that we currently can. Yeah, and then what else? There's a bit more here. We'll just look at one or two others. Yeah, all of the rabid vegans on my timeline are sidestepping my abortion point and angrily pushing their annoying agenda. So I'm sure there are lots of people who are not addressing that point, and I get that you want that to be addressed, but they have a point too. So, take it into consideration. Like, let's just grant that veganism entails being pro-life for a second, just for the sake of argument. Don't get triggered if you're pro-choice. Let's just grant that, and then just ask, okay, so what's your objection to veganism? Because you haven't really put forward much of an objection. You've just kind of said, we've done it forever. If we really spell out the consequences of saying that things are justified in virtue of having done them forever, you're not going to say that that's a good reason. There's no friggin' way you're going to say that. You've just kind of given this, like, low level, like, not really thought through sort of standard carnist, like, garbage, right? So it would just be interesting to see you actually tell us, like, why not be vegan? What is the real response here to the vegans? There's her, tweeting about the sprout eaters. Now here's some vegans who've gone into her messages. I slid into Jenna's DMs. Probably like one of the few people doing that to ask her for a debate. She said she's not interested in having a discussion. Now, I hope you die of heart disease on your keto death diet. Now, this is not helpful. So, not helpful, Christopher Michael or Mitchell or whatever. I don't know. She says, hold your breath. Wish you were aborted, but I wasn't. BRB. Gotta flip my steak and eggs. Now, she's responding irreverently, obviously, whatever. But, it's not like, how does it help to send messages like that? I guess we just have to accept that there's always going to be some kind of like just people like this who are going to do this, but this is just giving ammunition to people when you do stuff like this, right? It's not helpful to vegans at all. Here she is posting about how keto put her in good shape, you know, best shape of her life, as she says. And here, replying to Vegan Gains, he's asking her to debate. She's saying he's insufferable. So, oh, what? There's more in the last 13 seconds. So someone says, you're a ketogenic Zionist. Zionist? What? Nothing you say holds any value whatsoever. Is she a Zionist? I don't know. Because protect animals, but not Jews or unborn babies. I'm all for protecting Jews and unborn babies. I'm half Jewish. But let's also protect animals. Okay, so that was a little delve into the world of Jenna Jameson. Her arguments, or whatever you want to call them, her reasons for not being vegan are, of course, pitiful. I really hope that she reconsiders her position here. And of course, Jenna, if you change your mind and want to have a civil discussion, the vegan community is happy to engage you. I'm happy to talk to you. So is Vegan Gains. That is all for today. Till next time.